Hello and welcome to Money Tips. This is Charles Kelly bringing you money tips to help you save, earn, invest, accumulate and enjoy more money. Hope you're having a good start to the week. Over the weekend in London and the whole of the UK, we had massive storms. Storm Kiara. Kiara? Yes. Doesn't sound like a stormy name, does it, Kiara? It's like, Storm Brian or something. But anyway, it's calmed down now. It's still raining and windy out there, but it's not as bad as it was yesterday. So is this scheme where you can have a deposit-free rental really just a fee in disguise? This is what I think it sounds to me like this is exactly what it is. Now, to give you a bit of background on the story, tenants who can't afford to pay a deposit are being offered to pay a lower amount as a non-refundable fee, if you like. I don't know what else you can call it. It's an upfront fee. So instead of paying, say, 4 or 5 weeks rent as a deposit, some agencies are offering them to pay a lower amount, maybe say £500, as a non-refundable fee. However, this fee cannot be used against breakages and damages. So I can't quite see the point of it, really. Now, obviously, the government are looking into this because they say a landlord cannot insist that a tenant uses an alternative to a traditional deposit, but it can be used as an option. And but I don't think this is a very good option. Why would anybody want to pay a non-refundable fee rather than paying a fee that they could get back at the end, provided they look after the property? And the answer is because they haven't got the money. They haven't saved enough, and they just can't afford to pay the full deposit. However, the landlord could also offer to take a lower deposit, couldn't they? They could say, well, okay, you can't afford a month's rent, I'll take 3 weeks or 2 weeks. In many cases, I've taken on tenants without charging a deposit because it's just a pain in the neck dealing with it. But landlords can choose the amount they want to, because if agencies and landlords get into this and it's looked at and it's deemed to be an illegal fee, which were banned last year. Tenants' fees were banned last year, and if it's deemed as an illegal fee, you could be receiving some pretty hefty fines from trading standards or your local authority. And believe me, some of these officers already do not have a very high opinion of estate agents and landlords, let alone the ones that might be charging dodgy fees on the side. So I think if you're a landlord, you've got to really watch this and not get yourself into a position where you get fined, but also be fair to your tenants, and so that they're not having this issue. If you're in an area where tenants generally can't afford deposits, look at the local authority. Maybe the local authority have a scheme. I know of one local authority that offers a tenancy bond, so that there's a bond set up that it's like a deposit, but it's a bond against breakages, and that can help where tenants might be unemployed or unable to raise that sort of fee. Now, the government is also planning to introduce a lifetime deposit to let renters transfer some of the deposit paid from one previous tenancy to the next. So this kind of makes sense. At the moment, the system's a bit of a mess. The administration getting money back for tenants and also dealing with breakages where tenants argue, I didn't do this and I didn't do that. It can be very difficult. And then if you have to do inventories, they can cost £100, £200 a time in and out. They're quite expensive things to do. So it needs to be sorted out. It is a bit of a mess at the moment, and I hope that the government will do something about it. At the moment, it's I just think the system is the administration on the system is burdensome for landlords, and it slows up the process. But on the other hand, the previous system where landlords just took deposits and put it in their own bank account was a bit of a Wild West situation. Lots of people didn't get their money back. And I remember renting many, many years ago, and it was a terrible struggle. Twice I had problems getting money back off of landlords who just sort of invented, stains on the carpet and this sort of thing. And just didn't really want to give the money back. In the end, I just sort of threatened legal action to get the money back. Similarly, when I was renting an office, that was even worse. They wanted to charge me about £10,000 of dilapidations when the office wasn't that dilapidated. It was just ridiculous. So a lot of landlords, when they get hold of that money, they think it's theirs to spend, and they don't want to part with it anymore. So I think just be careful as a tenant and agency and an agency. Just be careful on this, and if you can't raise the money, maybe look at raising the money somewhere else from relatives. Borrow the money rather than just jumping into these schemes, because there are still people reporting in the press that they've been charged these fees, and I think that's sad. But also the local authority or the trading standards will crack down on this pretty hard, and you could end up paying thousands and thousands of pounds. And also, if you don't deal with deposits correctly on the tenancy, and if you do get a rogue tenant or a tenant from hell, you will not be able to get them out of the property, because the judge will look at look at the tenancy agreement. So how was the deposit dealt with? Well, didn't put it into the right scheme. They didn't deal with it correctly. Then the judge will throw the case out, and you won't get your property back. So do make sure that you have all the paperwork in place. You're not charging any illegal tenant fees, and you are dealing with the deposit correctly. Because if you don't, you will not get possession of your property under a Section 21 notice when you want to get the property back. And that some judges in courts can, lean towards the side of the tenant, if you might put it that way, and give the tenants the benefit of the doubt more than the landlords. And some of them are just they seem to be a little bit anti-landlords. Don't forget, with these courts, these small courts, small claims courts, and that sort of thing, it's very much dependent on which judge you get on the day. Some judges will, say, I understand that, that's that, right, I accept your claim, that's it, done and dusted. Others will try and pull out all sorts of things and drag it out and have an adjournment and say, well, you need to get this back and you need to get that. They can be very fickle, some of these judges. So just because the law's on your side, you need to have everything in order and present your case properly, so that it flows and everybody understands what's going on. But definitely, if you don't deal with the deposit correctly, you can be fined for a start, and then you will not get the possession back of your property. So thanks for listening, and have a great day. Thanks for tuning in on Facebook Live. Hi there to Dave, and check out my podcast on moneytipsdaily.com or iTunes and Apple. Have a great Monday. Thanks a lot.